Hello fellow Helldivers, Thornton here, out doing a little mountain biking today, but we're going to be talking about fourth factions today because, well, the three remaining factions are all surging towards Super Earth, and it could be a disastrous end for, well, what's coming next. We're going to go over all of that, but without further ado, let's jump into today's topic.
Welcome back, fellow Helldivers, and today we're going to be talking about new factions and what it means for the game, but first I'm going to start with some rumors that seem to be flying around, which I find actually hilarious. But there are a bunch of leaks about the upcoming Warbond. I'm sure you've seen the videos, everyone pretty much has at this point, and a lot of the leakers have been getting copyright striked, and there's this odd rumor, and I have no idea where it started from, that I was not impacted, and I'm going to be perfectly honest, I had two videos taken down covering the leaks. You can see it right here on October 28th and October 29th. You'll also notice that underneath the action section, it says counter notification, and it's already been forwarded and approved by YouTube. So in about 10 days, the videos will be back up. I'm not really worried about it. In fact, this has happened before. Back in May, me and Iron Sights both had some leaks that were up on YouTube, and we got striked by, once again, the same company. This has happened a couple of different times, and I really don't have an issue with it at all. I get it. If you do leaked content, you're gonna get hit with these occasionally. You just go through the proper channels after you've been striked, and then go ahead and get the videos reinstated after 10 days. In fact, it's kind of a good thing in certain ways, because as you can see here, when this happened last time in May, my view count drops for the 10 days that they're done, but then absolutely skyrockets when they're reinstated, because the YouTube algorithm is like, whoa, those videos that were deleted, all of a sudden there's a bunch of views on your channel that weren't there, and now they are, and so my video gets pumped out even more. Honestly, this is not that big of a deal, and I don't know where the rumor came that I didn't get copyright striked in the first place. I feel like that's very odd to go ahead and state, or that rumor would even start, unless there was any evidence that someone had of that actually being the case and not just some personal intuition. Anyways, let's go ahead and talk about upcoming content. So things are looking pretty dire, fellow Helldivers. As you've probably noticed by looking at the galactic map, all three fronts are moving incredibly close to Super Earth, with the Illuminate the closest, followed by the Automatons and the Terminids. And if you've been watching the channel for a while, you know the Illuminates are coming in with some pretty big reinforcements in the near future. And we've also talked about the fact that there is stuff in the subtitles about all three factions surging towards Super Earth, so we might be getting another Super Earth clash, which I'm actually totally for. As a coming hell jumper, what's this open space over here about? Future enemy faction waiting to try impeding on my democracy? And that brings us to today's topic, because there's a ton of stuff in the files that indicates that yes, there is going to be a faction we have not yet before seen in the Helldivers universe, because Helldivers 1, well, I guess they had cyborgs, which we'll go over in the video, but we haven't seen the galactic map have 4 different factions on it. Anyways, let's just start talking about what we know. And before we dive really deep into it, I do want everyone to take in mind the fact that, well, we do likely get rebels in the game. They are not going to be a faction that takes up a part of the galactic map. I think they're going to be more along the lines of something that comes in and comes on the battlefield as a secondary objective and causes a little bit of chaos. I don't know if that fourth side of the map will ever be taken. I do hope that the Arrowhead team is actually creating or have created a brand new enemy type for Helldivers 2 instead of just porting everything from Helldivers 1. I mean, like I said, the automatons are kind of an offshoot of the cyborgs, but I kind of wonder what they would actually do, because we have 3 enemy types already. The Terminids are the melee, the automatons are the shooting / ranged, and the Illuminate are a mixture. So when you create a new type of enemy, it would have to be something we haven't really seen before that falls outside of those 3 or finds a unique way to blend into the game. There is also talk in the files of a person called the Architect, who is thought to be leading the entire war front, and we will go over that in today's video, and that could be a possibility for a future faction, something that is so advanced, or someone that controls the entire battlefield that we finally surge into at the end. But anyways, let's go back to the rebels. One, well, you know that there is going to be a presidential election in the near future. We've gone over the game files, but there's something that a lot of players are kind of curious about now. Could the fact that a president was elected without us actually knowing lead to a rebellion? And will there be a fourth faction after the Illuminate, such as the Super Earth Rebels? And we have a couple of stuff that points towards yes. Ironsights let us know that rebels exist alongside civilians as NPCs in the game files. Not sure when, if they will be added. It appears to be leftover content from early development. He went ahead and gave us a little bit more information, such as there are rebels in the files, but that might not really be considered a full faction. They are classified under Super Earth. I'd love to see environment-based sub-factions like we saw in early concept art. Seeing these automatons in forests would be so cool, and it is actually a very cool image. But that makes me wonder, if they're not going to be a full force faction, then what exactly are they going to be? And Asunder actually went ahead, who's another notable data miner, and thinks that rebels are just a story plot device, and I think that would line up perfectly with the whole presidential election thing, as most rebellions are actually formed because members of the society don't agree with what the government has done. That being said, they're probably going to have to face the wall, but there is a ton of stuff found in the files that seem to indicate there is going to be a large story plot revolving around this, and it might be something we might be fighting in the very near future. In case you guys didn't know, there are a ton of factions right now within Super Earth. There is the Ministry of Humanity, Ministry of Prosperity, Ministry of Expansion, Ministry of Unity, Ministry of Science, and Ministry of Intelligence, but no one really needs that, Ministry of Truth, and of course, the Ministry of Defense. Now, all those actually have specific mission and goals found in the game files. For instance, the Ministry of Science is constantly pushing Super Earth technology forward and ensures our superiority over our enemies. As we know, we are going to be getting new types of weapons and a science officer. It makes sense that we're going to see this faction pop up pretty soon. Of course, the Ministry of Defense is responsible for the defense of Super Earth against external threats. It manages the Super Earth armed forces, which we'll probably see when that new mansion comes in with the President files, and we have to defend Super Earth itself. The Ministry of Unity ensures all of mankind is united as one and protects us from internal threats such as deviant behavior and expression of dangerous ideas. Fun enough, there is a rebel faction found in the NPC files, so it does look like Ministry of Unity is going to have some work to do, as that enemy faction will be coming in the near future. Of course, the Ministry of Expansion tirelessly works to increase Super Earth's reach and secure vital resources for our society to thrive, and the Ministry of Truth is responsible for keeping all citizens well informed and mentally equipped to withstand our enemies' vile propaganda. And if you disagree with that, well, you need to go see your nearest democracy officer, because they'd like to have a word with you. However, it's not just Super Earth that has a plethora of factions that are going to be coming into the game in the very near future. When we look at the galactic map, we notice that currently it is divided in such a way that there is going to be room for more factions, meaning that there will be something coming after the Illuminate. But the question is, well, what is it going to be? And it appears that there is a person or a architect, if you will, that is running the game behind the scenes and could be actually be responsible for also a fourth faction as well, at least according to some current theories. One that I liked by Asunder is that he's controlling all of them. This is all a giant war against Super Earth. Now, the first thing to go over is that there are a lot of people that are hoping we get rebels in the game, and it's very possible that that is an actual option, because Ironsights pointed out that in the files right now, there is an NPC type named Rebels. And what's important to know is that cyborgs in the original Helldivers game were the Rebels, and they were a product of Super Earth. Ironsights broke down pretty easily what's going on with the Rebel faction, because there is a gentleman called the Architect, as we mentioned, that seems to be the creator of the bots. It is going to be fairly far away, and it was possibly sourced from the second group of cyborg researchers that fled from Cyberstan during the 100-year raid. These researchers then formed the Automaton Development Group. However, it's unknown right now if the Architect is even human, and file strings speculate being an entirely new alien race, though that is speculated by the NPCs that are also in the game. We've actually seen science officers NPCs that we went over in a video the other day. They look to be part of an ongoing crew progression system that would be really cool coming in the near future. There's also this other really cool transmission, and it will give you a little bit more lore and insight and go into a little bit further of what Ironsights is actually talking about into the cyborg menace.
History matters. After the First Galactic War, Super Earth kindly allowed the cyborg secessionists to live, giving them stable work deep within the mines of Cyberstan. But, twisted by their implants, the cyborgs sought their revenge by creating the Automaton Legion.
So it's very clear that the cyborgs went to Cyberstan, created the automatons to fight us, but that the Architect might actually be one of those units, and he also seems like he could be involved in the evolution of the bugs in some capacity. As Ironsights says, one of the NPCs says the Architect is involved with the evolution of bugs in some ways. I mean, that's a pretty clear-cut thing going on right now. So while I do think it is possible there's going to be a rebel faction that could be the fourth one, I like the idea that it's going to be an entirely new race. Symbiotes would be very cool, and that the rebels will be more of a side faction slash mini faction that pops up from time to time. It doesn't make sense to really have us fight humans when there are so much more deadly threats. Although when we look at how we're doing in the war, we're probably the most deadly.
Let me know down below, guys, what are your thoughts on Helldivers 2 adding a fourth faction? Also, don't forget to check out my new outdoor channel right here. And until next time, everyone, thanks for stopping by. Keep spreading managed democracy.